Alright guys, sorry it's been a while since we posted a video, but we've been doing finals and f***ing CASP testing, stupid California stuff. But school's gotten to us, but we're making another video. So we're talking about a car that I purchased a while ago and that I should have done a review on earlier, but here it is now. So let's get into it. It's the Axial Score Score Trophy Truck Kit. So it comes with a few different things to start off with. The body's different. The body is the classic edition. It's like the 1970s era kind of throwback body, I guess. I like this body more than the other one, but I'll probably end up getting the other one, if not the Proline Raptor body that they make for this truck, because I think that's pretty cool. But until this body goes out, that's what I'm running. So I painted this color so it can match the wheels kind of with the metallic orange and white, because white's kind of like a classic color because there wasn't much to it. And that's about all there is to the body, except for the cage. You got the cage back here and the spare tire carrier. I think it's really cool. It adds a lot of rigidity to the body, and they're really expensive for a reason. And the cage is really like well made, and it's not bad plastic or anything. It's really strong. And I don't have these screwed into the cage, the side body panel, because when I do, it warps the side of the body out like that, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna see if I can do something about it, but until then, that's what it is. And up here you got the light buckets in front, and I have lights. I haven't put them in yet though, but I don't know if they're waterproof, because that's why I don't want to do it. I'll wait till summer to do it. But yeah, the light buckets in the back. The only complaint I have about those is that dirt gets up in the light buckets, and it's really hard to clean out, and it stays up there. Like that one's really full of dirt. But yeah, so that's about all there is to the body. I'm missing the piece. I don't have it because I don't really drive with it. But the cockpit piece, I gotta say that's a pretty cool feature as far as scale goes, because if you're into that, which I really don't care, as long as the car performs good and it's fun to drive, I really don't mind the scale. I mean, it's cool that they put it in there, but it's just not for me. But there's some people out there who just all they do is scale RC, so that's cool that they put that in there, and they put a lot of scale features in. A lot of RC cars aren't really based platform wise off of a real truck, but this one is literally a pre-runner. It's a trophy truck that's actually sized down. There's nothing that's not brought from a trophy truck. There's the 4-link rear suspension with a straight axle, and I mean, just like downscaled king shocks, and that's I don't know if that, I think that comes with the RTR too. I'm pretty sure that does. But the wheels are different on this. They're also the throwback edition. They're just methods, and we'll get into the wheels later. But right for now, they're just bright orange methods, which a lot of people don't really like. So you can dye them black if you want, but I just left them because I think it's kind of cool. But there's that. There's the downscale king shocks, which are, in my opinion, really cool. I just wish they would have included aluminum caps and aluminum preload aluminum preload screws. Let's call them screws for now. Aluminum preload screws and the spring bottoms. Just because like labeled king would have been kind of cool, because I follow the off-road scene closely, and I like things like that, like performance parts that are scaled down. But as far as that goes, the scale is really good on this. It's independent front suspension, like most trucks are. I kind of want to adjust some suspension up in the front, because it has, I think I'm going to put a thicker weight in there, because it doesn't have much travel and it kind of sits level right now. So I was going to put an 8-scale system in it, but what I was worried about is the motor would be too long and it would hit the battery tray. But I think I'm going to get an 8-scale system either way, and if it doesn't fit in here, I'm putting it in my 4x4 Slash. But I went with the stock system because, I mean, they wouldn't put it in there unless it did good for that car. So I went with that. I went with a 2075 servo, which is going to have to be replaced soon anyway, because it's just too small for this car. This truck's bigger. It's got taller tires. It's got more force. It's just got heavier shit. So it's probably going to strip out, which is like whatever. I'll just get a Savox or something, or the stock one. So that's what I got for electronics. I got TQI, Traxxas TQI, which is also a questionable remote amongst those of you who race, which I don't really give a shit about that. Like, honestly, if it goes forward in its years, then I'm alright with it. There, you get to look at my pizza now because these guys are grubbing on it. But anyways, I mean, I don't really care about the system as long as it works. But as far as speed goes. I like speed, so I put bigger. It's geared higher now. I forget what gearing that is. I think it's like 20 something to 50 something. Now we're gonna talk about the rear end. It's got 4-link suspension, which is really flexible. I mean, I've taken the sway bar off before, and we'll put a picture of that in, and it flexes like really hard. Like this tire's probably up here, but so far I've heard pretty mixed reviews on the AR60 axle, which is the same as the Wraith. But so far it's done alright for me. I just want to get a new diff case. Because if you guys see right here, them tires though. If you see right here, I don't know if you can see that or if it's focusing, but it's just such thin plastic in the diff case that the screws almost went right through it. But another part of this is performance. The straight axle is a lot different than independent rear suspension in a lot of ways. Not only that it has a straight axle, but in that it's so much more of a performance and suspension travel upgrade. Like, that's probably a good 4.5, maybe 5 at the very greatest, which is probably pushing it. I don't really know the stats, but that's a lot of travel for an RC car. And it's really just a performance upgrade because it's a lot more flexibility, it allows a lot more travel, it allows a lot more performance, and honestly I think it was a good choice to go with this rather than another short course truck, because I've already had short course trucks and they're cool and all. I'll never get away from them, but I just kind of wanted a trophy truck because it's kind of the end all be all of off-roading if you ask me. But so as far as assembling this car goes, it took me probably 2 days with school. So I mean, it wasn't like 2 days straight of just working on this. It was, I got it on like a Thursday, I think, and I unboxed it that night and started working on it. I probably had half of it done that night, the other half the next night, and it was a decent amount of work. Like, I sat there for a few hours and looked at the manual, double checked it and everything, and it was a fair amount of work. Only complaint I have about assembling it is just the plastic. Like, the screws, they don't, usually in plastic you can tighten it and it won't break anything, but on a car like this, the plastic feels a little bit more brittle to me on some parts. So like, I don't know if that's gonna focus, but right there you can see on the gear cover it's cracked because it's just over tightened. And up in here I had a huge problem with it, where I was one of the times where you throw tools, but it was up where the bulkhead comes to the A-arm. It was just plastic was getting stretched all over the place, and it's just, the screws don't really give out in the plastic, they just kind of stay there, and that kind of bothered me. But again, it is what it is. So we're going to talk about some differences between this and the RTR version. So the reason I went with this is because in the end it was cheaper for me, but not by very much. Like, if you're just looking to buy a car just to drive, I'd probably get the RTR, but like, this was part of the experience building it, just so I know what to look for when something goes wrong. Also, the wheels and body, that's one thing. That, I mean, that's not really an upgrade or anything, but one of the upgrades is the M42 links. I think that's what they call it, the M42 steel. These are an upgrade because you can adjust them, they're stronger. The other one's just plastic. I think they have a few different mounting points, but they're just plastic. They have more give, a lot less, if you ask me, performance and control. But it has that, those links, and I really like these because they're pretty strong and they're pretty hefty. There's that. There's the aluminum link plates, which are another great upgrade, because I've heard that when these get up to, like, when stress on them, they'll warp and twist and they'll break and stuff. But it comes with this upgrade out of the kit. I don't really know if there's much else. I mean, it's not much for upgrades, but it's enough for me to want to buy it. Also, another thing that's unique about this car is most stadium trucks run a 12mm hex. This runs a legitimate bolt pattern. It runs a 12mm hex, but it's a hex adapter. I'm sure most of you guys probably already know this. It's one of the main differences that's talked about between this and your average car. This is a 12mm hex inside here, and then it's threaded to the wheels right here. Huh? Can't see it? Alright. So this right here is a 6-bolt pattern that's actually bolted in. It's not for looks or anything. It actually works, and inside here you have a hex adapter. that threads into it and bolts on. The ones in the rear are wider because it has an AR-60 axle, and that's off of a crawler. I think it rates as a crawler. It's either a crawler or a rock racer, but it's kind of a shorter axle. And those are in there to adjust the wheelbase because, for one, it makes it look more scale. For two, it adjusts the wheelbase to where the wheels are lined up and to where you don't have to get wheels with more offset. And that's one of the main things about this car, as well as the suspension. But to sum it all up, I mean, there's basically the Losi Baja Ray, and custom-made trophy trucks. So there's $400 here, $400 with Losi. We can give or take a little bit. Or there's $1,400 for like a chassis and suspension with custom-made. Which custom-made's cool and all, but it's just too much for me. I don't want to invest that much money into an RC car. Like, a lot of you guys do this for a major part of your life, but I'd rather invest money into my quads and into my truck. And this is just fun to have. I mean, it goes fast. It does everything I need to do with the car. But, I mean, if you're into the whole trophy truck scene and you really want to get a car or a truck that's just through and through completely custom built, then, I mean, go with one of those, but it's just not for me. I mean, I'd love to have one, yeah, but I'm not spending $1,400, $1,500 on an RC car. But all in all, I mean, I bought this just because the Losi Baja Ray, I heard a couple bad things about it that I don't really like. I mean, it's a cool truck, but I like the way this looks better. I like the way I've heard about it and the way it's performed. It's been around longer. And parts availability for this is about the same for the Baja Ray, but I just like this better. I trust Axial a little bit more. I've had a couple Losis, and I just was never really impressed. Everything's kind of different on them. Like, these are all 2.0 screws. Same with the Slash are all 2.0. These are all, I think, 7mm wheel nuts, or whatever the standard for wheel nuts is. Those were all the same on every car I've had except for a Losi. Losi, there was some weird size here, weird screws, like fucking 12 points and shit. And just weird stuff all around on a Losi. I was not really impressed with the quality either. And it just wasn't for me. I run 3S in this, and it does get a little hot because I have it geared high. But, I mean, there's not much more else to say about it. It's a pretty nice truck overall. It's worth it for the money. And basically it's between this and the Losi Baja Ray on the market right now. There's nothing else that's straight axle, IFS, mid-motor, all that. And I've been thinking about getting the 2-speed transmission for this, just because it's kind of a nice option to have. But I don't really know if I want to get that without it being a crawler or anything. But that's about all there is to this car. If you guys want to see more videos on this, drop a comment, like it, and that's about all there is to it.